Okay, welcome back. It's Pachter Factor 10 something. We lost the other digit.
They won't feed us. We've been here for a month.
Yeah, we've been on my boat for a month.
Cake and scotch.
We're here for Pachter Factor 104. After a month, the cake is still really remarkably moist.
That's all the preservatives that Americans are allowed to eat.
You would like that. We hope that you're watching on SIFTD.net and that you are a Patreon patron. And honestly, you can become a Patreon patron for very little money. So if you can afford anything at all, Shane needs to keep this going. I don't think he's making enough to live. And he actually puts his heart and soul into this. So would appreciate the patronage. If you are watching on YouTube, we appreciate the fact that you are fans. All we ask in return for free Pachter Factor is that you follow us on Twitter. There's 3 of us, at SIFTD Games, at Annoyed Gamer. That's annoyed in past tense. He used to be annoyed. He's no longer. And he's not annoying. And at Michael Pachter. The first question this week from SIFTD from Justin. How are physical copies of games made? I always assumed that when it came to discs, publishers just press their own. Is this true? No. How does it work for Nintendo with the cartridges? Are publishers allowed to make their own cartridges? They're required to buy them from Nintendo or some otherwise authorized manufacturer. All right. So the concept of games, I need some scotch to wash my my cake down. That's sweet, but it's actually quite good. The games are always called a razor and razor blade model, right? You buy the console. That's like buying a razor, and I know you guys don't shave. I clearly don't either. And the way that they make money is they sell you the razor for like $1, and then razor blades are $1 a piece because you use them and you dispose of them. They want you to keep buying and buying and buying and buying. So consoles, they sell you the console. They literally make, Nintendo's the most profitable console maker, 35%. They make $100, but they make money on every piece of software sold. So the console manufacturers charge a royalty to the publishers of games. The royalty is roughly 20% of the retail price of the game. So if you buy a $60 game, just assume $12 goes to the console manufacturer. The way they control that royalty to make sure they get it, they make all the discs. So all the discs made for Xbox and PlayStation are made by Microsoft and Sony. All the cartridges for Switch are made by Nintendo, or for 3DS, made by Nintendo. So if you want to make a game, you want to put Call of Duty on a PlayStation 4, you submit the file to Sony, they press the disc out, and they control it. They know how many discs, they know how much. If you buy a digital copy, guess where you buy a PlayStation 4 digital copy? Not at callofduty.com, PlayStation.com, on your PlayStation. So you get it on the PlayStation in their dashboard, you order the download, they get their cut. So it's a profit deal. The manufacturer makes money from pressing the discs and from pressing the cartridges. And no, publishers are not allowed to make their own, but they make their own if it's a PC game. So if it's a PC game, nobody owns that console. They make their own, so that's why Activision, you buy it through Battle.net. You don't, Battle.net. You don't buy it from a console manufacturer. You can buy it in the store, the retailer gets a piece, but there's no royalty. That's why PC games are 50, console games are 60. No royalty. Profit to the publisher, the same. So that's the answer. You can weigh in, but I don't know if there's much more to weigh in.
No, I mean, there's a limited amount of pressing plants that actually meet the security standards around the world. This is basically to combat piracy. And that's, Nintendo. I mean, back in the day when Nintendo and Sega dominated, the cost of carts was absolutely ridiculous. Now, I mean, I would say that for PC, it's all profit unless you go through Steam. Anybody who sells independently without going through Steam, all that money goes back in their back pockets. And considering all games are developed on PC now, because all consoles are actually pretty much PCs, it's PC is almost like a free version that supplements the income.
An interesting, I just met with Sony. I had a long talk with Phil Rosenberg, who's kind of a very senior guy at PlayStation, and I met John Codera, and then I spoke to Phil Spencer for about 10 minutes about cross-platform play for Fortnite, and we were just talking about how each console manufacturer allows cross-platform play between their respective console and PC, but not across consoles. Microsoft said they would, Sony said they won't. But when I talked to Phil Spencer, he goes, it's all PC. It's so easy. Like cross-platform play between Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, it's all the same AMD chipset PC. So we know that all that stuff is doable, but not happening because Sony doesn't want to encourage Xbox guys. They don't want to help them out at all. They want them all to die. Our next question from Patreon, I can't believe I didn't say Julian. From Julian, my friend Julian Watkins. With the recent hullabaloo over the rising cost of game development, he writes pretty well, hullabaloo. That's the second question we've got with the word hullabaloo.
Julian Watkins is a 55-year-old man.
Could be.
Yeah, he has to be.
He must be a Brit.
Probably Brit. Yeah, he is Julian.
Do you foresee a time when games will have a more granular pricing model? For example, a new Call of Duty could be $73.99, where a game you get less playtime out of could be priced at $40. Well, that's actually a two-part question. One is, dynamic pricing, and we already have that. So games cost $60 when they come out. They cost $40 3 months, 6 months later. They cost $20 a year later. So we do kind of price down the curve. You already have that sort of AAA games go for $60. You get these kind of mid-tier games that you see occasionally at $40, and you get independent games at $20 and sometimes cheaper. So I think yes, but raising the price above $60 is hard to pull off. I think gamers equate all AAA console games as having the same value. The truth is, if there was ever a game that you would charge more for, it's Grand Theft Auto. I mean, it's 200 hours at least. I mean, shit. I haven't looked lately. I remember when GTA 3 came out, I remember Rockstar put out something like 2 years later saying 27% had finished the game.
I'm still playing it. I'm still playing the last GTA.
Yeah, with 5, yeah, and again, I actually didn't try to finish 5. I get distracted. Like, it's open world, you can go do other shit. It's like I just stop missions after 40 hours or 50 hours.
I just get on a ski-doo and drive past your house in the game.
But I bet that game is, the single player game is probably 200 hours something. And Fallout, the main mission you can finish in 7 or 8 hours, but it takes you 200 to find everything. So games have become so immense that I would charge more for these open world games. I mean, I think that they really have, there's so much to do. And so I guess the answer would be, if a game is 12 hours, maybe you charge 60. If it's 200, you should charge 200, but they won't. So the answer is, I don't think it happens, but what do you think?
Games have been the same price now for 20 years. I mean, when Nintendo were making cartridges and Sega Genesis, those cartridges were not cheap.
They were $70, right?
Yeah, they were $70, and then we did dip down to $39.99 at one point in the UK, and then bumped up to $49, and now $59 here in the US. But if you think about it, no game is $59.99 anymore, because you've got a season pass, you've got the downloadable content, you've got the additional microtransactions for that extra special shotgun that you really want for single player. That's not going to overload the multiplayer game. And so yeah, I mean, games are actually, in comparison to other industries such as movies, games are woefully underpriced because they haven't been adjusting with inflation. When I was a kid, it was £3 to get into the movies. Now I go take my wife to the local iPic, and it's $30 a head. But they're great theaters where you've got the reclining seats and everything, and it is that next level, and waiter service and food and booze. My point being is the price of games hasn't changed, and this is where we have a problem with nickel and diming, where people are saying, well, I'm paying $60 for this, why should I pay more? Well, we're actually underpaying, and you know me, I'm not a big fan of people being overcharged for anything. So I would like to see the price of the core game go up, because it would mean that more could be put into the game. My fear is that when a game goes to $79 or $89 or $99, you're still going to get fuckers dropping loot boxes in the game. And that's the nature of capitalism, and that's the nature of this particular world we live in. So I think we're going to stay at the $60 price range, but you will see way more post-launch content, season passes, and the price on those is going to go up.
And to be honest, I think that the publishers, although they would love to charge you $200 for the game, they're quite content if you play FIFA for $60, as long as you spend $100 in Ultimate Team. I mean, they're really happy with that. And so I think their model is, they know they sell 18 million copies of FIFA. 18 million people aren't going to spend $100 in Ultimate Team, but 6 million will. So they know that they're going to get millions of people spending a lot, and they're not confident that they can pick which 6 million people will spend all that money. They just know it's 6 or 7 or 800 million bucks a year, and so they're going to keep giving you more to do. And so wait for this year's Ultimate Team. Wait for World Cup. I mean, normally you start Ultimate Team in late September, early October. This is starting in May. You know, World Cup is June 14th. You watch. There's going to be World Cup events in May. And if you're an Ultimate Team player, you're coming back in May. You're going to spend money because they're going to let you customize stadiums, uniforms, shoes, player attributes, whatever. And I guess card packs in Ultimate Team are like loot boxes.
Actually, this is the first World Cup in a long time that there's not a specific World Cup edition.
First one ever since they've had the FIFA license. So they've had the FIFA license since '98, since the '98 World Cup.
Actually, they've had the FIFA license since
for 20-something years.
94.
Yeah,
that was the first game, but they didn't have the World Cup.
So this is the first. They've had a World Cup game every World Cup from '98, 2002, 6, 10, 14. This is the first time they're not doing a standalone game, and the reason is they feel like a standalone World Cup game causes FIFA players to stop playing. The super hardcore guys buy the World Cup game and move on, then they have to wait. They want to keep everybody engaged with FIFA.
Actually, this is the first time there's not two FIFA World Cup games, because they've rocked Road to the World Cup and World Cup every iteration up until now. So they're actually making a loss, or there's actually two iterations down, which just shows how much money they're making out of the Ultimate Team franchise.
Our last question this week, our last boat question from YouTube, from Sam Foote. When EA Access first launched, common wisdom was that Ubisoft and other publishers would follow suit. They haven't, minus the Xbox Game Pass. Why do you think this is? Are publishers leaving money on the table by not charging people a few bucks a month to have access to games that no longer generate revenue of their own? You know, it's a tough question. I think that if there's value for the consumer, then there's not value for the publisher. So if you have a lot of games that people want to play and you give them access for a fixed fee, so Xbox Game Pass is kind of that way, you end up, like Xbox Game Pass added Microsoft First Party, you end up charging people $10 a month, so $120 a year, and you don't sell them the game, you give them the games. If you want to buy 3 or 4 games from Microsoft, so you spend $180 or $240, it's a good deal. But it's not a good deal for Microsoft if they do that. So the only guys who actually do this are guys who don't sell enough of their own games to get you to pay a subscription fee. And the early access is worth not very much. I mean, I guess for the super hardcore guys to get it a week early, let's ask EA how early access worked with Star Wars loot boxes. Because all the whining started a week before Star Wars launched, and then the game reviews.
The legitimate outrage. No, I wouldn't call it whining. I'd call it legitimate outrage.
No. I'm sorry, that's right. But I meant they were whining, but it was legit. Yeah, so the legitimate outrage for loot boxes, EA got screwed on Star Wars, like royally reamed, because they did a bad job with loot boxes. And I honestly think, had they not had EA access, had you not had 100,000 people or whatever it is that got it early, had you not had 450,000 Reddit thumbs down, they might have pulled it off. They might have pulled the wool over the reviewers' eyes, gotten 10 points higher review scores, sold 5 million more copies of Star Wars to a pissed off audience who still would have hated loot boxes, but you wouldn't have known any better. So I actually think this EA access works both ways. It can hurt you as well as help you. No, I don't think others are going to do it. I think ultimately you might get a subscription game model, but it would have to be all publishers together. It would have to be a Netflix kind of model where you get all content. More likely than not, you were going to get a Netflix type service with every game made prior to this year. And new games you're going to still have to buy, but you can subscribe for more than $10 a month, probably $20 a month.
On Live, basically.
Yeah, especially on Live. You can play everything from Live. Yeah, and I think and PlayStation Now is going to try to pull it off. They get bigger and bigger every year.
I would say that we're going to come to the end of the EA Early Access program, and I'll tell you why. I think EA have finally realized that where their bread and butter lies, especially with FIFA and Madden and Battlefield, their 3 biggest franchises, is games as a service. And they will move to a subscription model, much like World of Warcraft, where you will pay X amount per month ongoing for Madden, for FIFA, for Battlefield, for continuous live updates, server, exclusive servers, exclusive content, exclusive events, streaming. That's the way they're going to go. They've already mentioned it on Madden and FIFA a few times, and I would not be surprised if at E3 we see an announcement from EA with the World Cup coming up in particular, that we will see this games as a service FIFA subscription program where you won't have to physically buy another copy of FIFA. You will sign up and you will pay $9.99 or $14.99 a month, much like you did with World of Warcraft or Knights of the Old Republic, and you will basically get the newest updated version of FIFA streamed to your Xbox or your PS3, downloaded, or your PS4 rather, overnight, and you will always be playing it and paying for it, and you will have the coolest features and you will have the additional stuff, because they will take that guaranteed $14.99 a month, which is $150 a year, from so many people who will be happy to sign up for it and then forget they're paying for it, much like Blizzard, people did with Blizzard. The wife checked the bank statement last month and she said, "Are you still playing World of Warcraft?" And I'm like, "Yes, dear, but I'm not actually, but I've still been paying it for the last couple of years."
You still playing Star Wars Old Republic?
Yeah, but I'm not paying for it. I went free to play on that one since I stopped playing with Kevin Dent. But I think that's the way they're going to go. And if you look at that revenue stream generated by just Madden and FIFA alone, two games that are review-proof, that have no peer anywhere or no contest anywhere in the games world, and then you throw in Battlefield and a Vince Zampella-driven Battlefield, that replaces any benefit that EA Early Access can have. And the beauty of what EA has is they have those two sports franchises as well as a killer shooter app, which, Epic has a shooter app. Activision has a shooter game. Ubisoft has Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, but they can't really compete with those two sports games, and that's the way to worm into people's homes, and that will actually take money away from Call of Duty or from other franchises, in my opinion, because people will say, well, I'm paying $30 a month for these two games, and now if I want to sign up for the third one, they'll give me $5 off. So I'm paying $40 a month for these three games that suck up so much of my time. Why would I want to put my $40 or my plus $20 to the new Call of Duty game?
So I'll modify that a bit. I think the smart model is $15 a month for FIFA, and you give the player all live update, real time. Players change teams, players get hurt. You take them off the roster, whatever. So it'll be a much better simulation. And you give them $15 of gold to spend in FIFA Ultimate Team, so that the guy who's signing up for $180 a year as opposed to buying FIFA for $60, he'll be like, "Oh, I get $180 to spend in Ultimate Team. Why not?" And I don't think they'll get 18 million subscribers. I do not. But
I think they'd get at least 10 million subscribers.
That's my
We're
point.
talking about the global game here.
But they'll make more money. That's my point. And I think they'll still sell FIFA for $60. If you don't want a subscription, you can still buy it for $60.
Absolutely, you still get the box copy, but then the next step will be do you play shooters as well? So this is where...
And they can add 5 for that and 5 for each game.
Well, I'd say, so for $28, you can throw, you can have FIFA and Battlefield. Or for $40, you can throw in Madden as well. And I think that's where EA can actually, and I can't believe I'm giving this ideas to EA. Seriously, I fucking hate those bastards.
Yeah, but they hate you too.
Oh, of course, I've been on their blacklist for 11 years now.
Thank you for joining us on Pachter Factor. It's been a great 104 episodes. We are hopeful that you're a patron on Patreon, and you are supporting SIFTD.net. If you are watching on YouTube, all we ask for in exchange for this free wisdom. Oh. Damn.
This is what happens when you keep us on a boat for 4 weeks, Shane.
This was almost alcohol abuse. It almost went in my scotch. All we ask in exchange is that you follow us on Twitter at SIFTD Games, at Annoyed Gamer, who is pretty fucking annoying, or at Michael Pachter. And thank you, my friend.
Thank you, mate.
I love having you out here.
I'll see you in 100 episodes.
There you go.
Or 96.
Or every episode. I can do this all the time.
Oh, come here, seriously. Let you out like this. All right, and break.
So, who's your team in the World Cup?
Well, my boys are not there this year. Wales, we didn't qualify.
And our boys didn't qualify either. So
well, neither did Italy's not there. There's no
So I know
Holland there.
So who should we? Oh, I didn't realize Netherlands didn't make it.
Netherlands didn't make it. I mean, obviously, England are going to be there, and as a Brit, I hope they do really well.
Is Brazil back? Are they good?
I wouldn't say they're good. I think Argentina, Germany, and Spain are probably the top three. But my outside pick, Egypt. Mohamed Salah.
For real, they're in there?
Egypt in the World Cup.
They're in the World Cup? I didn't even know
They
that.
have the best, the most on-form player in the world right now in Mo Salah, who plays for Liverpool. He's the current front runner for the Golden Boot. He's scored more goals than anybody else in Europe and chipped in with a bunch of assists. He is my man.
Wow.
For Liverpool. We
That
signed
makes
him
me
for
happy.
35 million. He's worth 1,000 times more. And Real Madrid, fuck off, you can't have him. Ditto Barcelona, you've already taken Coutinho from us. So that's my tip. Egypt, to really light up the tournament and have a bit of fun with
Are
it.
they good? I mean, I know he's great, but are they good?
They're a solid team, and they've got this little spark about them right now. I really do hope that they get out of their group and become everybody's second
awesome.
favorite.
That would be awesome. I always assume it's going to be Brazil or one of the southern.
Look, at the
Western
business
European
end, it's
teams.
going to be one of those teams. I tell you who it won't be, who will be lucky to get out of the group is Russia. And fuck you.